Good afternoon, and thank you for being here this afternoon. I know this is not our normal time, but life has been life. And so I'm just really happy that each of you are here at this time. Go on and say hello. Hey, Del John, so that I can say hello to you on this afternoon. We're not going to hold you long. I know it's nearing the time for some of you to get off, or those of you who are en route to pick up young ones and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to stop and share with you for just a little bit, just a tad bit of time, to just encourage you on your day. Hey, sunshine. Today we're going to talk about the importance of next steps. Often when we have reached a particular, what we consider a pinnacle, or we've reached a mark, we try to kind of rest in our laurels for a little while. And so I just came to encourage you to know that next is always in the queue. And that's what makes us able to continue to be all that God has purposed our lives to be. One landing does not mean that we don't keep climbing. And so that's not about the climb of being a hierarchical climb, or trying to be someone that we're not, or trying to compete with other people. This is personal. This is what's next in your life. Good afternoon, Tam and Lady Clarice and Miss Lucy. And so today I just want to talk to us for just a few minutes about what it means to be prepared for next steps. Because here's what we know, is that wherever we are, it's part of a journey. It's part of a getting from one place to the next, and that the journey doesn't end until life ends. So when we get to a particular point and we've been able to accomplish one thing, we get to stay there for a moment and celebrate God and celebrate what God has done in our lives. But then we got to look up, what's next? What are our next steps? Hey, Sister Bear. What is it that God has us doing next? What did God prepare us with during what we just got finished doing that prepares us for what next is? Our scripture today is Galatians 6:9, and it's very familiar. And it just reminds us that we'll reap if we faint not, that there is a due season coming. And that due season may not be where you are. This may be part of the journey toward where you're going. Hey, Miss Chandra. And so we've got to know that when we get to that landing, you know how when you're walking up steps and you hope that they don't go straight up, because sometimes you need a landing to get your bearings. So when you go up those stairs and you get to a landing, yes, you get perspective on the landing, but then you look up, because what's next is above you. And so you start that journey again toward what the next landing is. Because life is a constant journey toward something. There is never a time, and even those of you who are retired, I know that it's been a blessing for you to be retired, but you and I both know that after a few days and after a few weeks of sitting in that retirement mode, your mind said, well, what am I going to do with this? And it's the same thing for everything along our way. That as long as we keep getting breath in our body, as long as we keep getting clarity in our minds, as long as there is still something to do, then we are not going to get caught up in being still at a landing, being still at a place where we are not moving forward. We are taking next steps as we go forward to do that which God has given us to do. So we are taking the next step, and then the next step, and the next step, and we may not see what's at the top of the staircase, but that's okay. That's where faith kicks in. So we may not see where we're going ultimately, but we know that we can't stay here. God has not given us that luxury to just stay here. For if we're going to get the due season blessing, we've got to stay on the journey. So we are going to, in due season, reap everything that God has for us. But due season comes on the other side of the journey. That's right, Pastor Dennis. Onward and upward. Keep climbing. And don't get stuck on the landing. The landing may be large and the landing may look beautiful, and you may be able to observe everything at the landing. You may be able to take in the wonder on the landing. But then look up, because whatever it is that God has placed you on the landing to do, then God is giving you the landing. Now God is saying, look up, because I'm not done. Isn't that wonderful? To know that it's not even really about you. It's that God's not done. And when God is not done, then God gives you a moment to gather yourself, to get your bearings, to come to understand where you've been and where you are. But then there's a look up. And the look up is to the next step. So my encouragement for us today is, it is a blessing wherever God has taken us, wherever God has allowed us to find ourselves. But there is not a place to stop. This is not a place to stop. It means that it's where God has taken us, so God can then show us what is next. Next steps until the journey ends. Next step until we're done on this plane, knowing that our next step is even grander and greater on the other side. So until the other side comes, we keep taking next steps, knowing that every landing is only a means of looking up to saying, where's my next step? And so I pray that as God is showing me next steps, that God will continue to show you your next steps, so that we do not get weary in well-doing, knowing that we will reap if we faint not. And there's no fainting on these stairs. Our cardio is good and our air is good in the spirit, and we're going to keep moving until God says you've reached where I have for you to go. So may God bless you and heaven smile on you. Hey, my joy. Thank you all for your comments. Please share. Somebody needs to know that where they are is great, but where God has for them is greater than they could comprehend. For God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think, according to the power that God has working within us. Don't you know that means we can't get sidetracked on step sitting? Well, we've got to be on step taking. Next step. Let's go. God bless you. Heaven smile on you. We will see you soon. Take the next step and be encouraged.